Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So there's lots to negotiate on this video today, but just going to give you some big news in regards to Paul Pogba. So reports were circulating out of the media yesterday saying that reportedly Manchester United have made contact with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola about the possibility of extending Paul Pogba's contract at Manchester United. Now, we do know that Paul Pogba is staying at the club at least until the January transfer window. We do know Paul Pogba had a long running transfer saga, for the entirety of the summer, because we do know that he was relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. But Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid never materialised. So we do know now that Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. And of course, Paul Pogba is one of the highest paid players at the football club. He's on just under £300,000 a week. So now reportedly it says that Ed Woodward has made contacts with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola about the possibility of extending Paul Pogba's contract. I think Paul Pogba came out the other week, and he actually did say he will reject any offers to extend his contract with Manchester United, because I do believe Paul Pogba's plans for the future is still to make a move to Real Madrid. And I did say for the entirety of the summer I said the stumbling block of Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid, was the substantial amount, we put on him, because obviously, we said, we wanted around £180 million. I mean, that's what we quoted out that we wanted, and obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay up to £180 million for Paul Pogba. So basically, we was demanding just over double than what we initially paid from Juventus back in 2016, because obviously, we did pay £89 million to him. Obviously, Paul Pogba is also our most expensive signing. But we do know how much being paid to their player he is, and I did say it's very, very essential anyway that we do keep him at the football club at least for this season, especially with our failure to land a midfielder in throughout the course of the summer. But with Real Madrid, obviously Real Madrid and Zinedine Zidane, I think will be infuriated that they didn't land Paul Pogba, because throughout the course of the summer Zinedine Zidane identified Paul Pogba as his number one target. Obviously Real Madrid throughout the course of the summer they spent a substantial amount. They spent around what, £300 million on players. Obviously, they did generate some of the money back, because they did manage to sell quite a few of their players, and I think they generated around £100 million back. But they did sign 5 players. Did Real Madrid. But Paul Pogba did say earlier on in the summer, at some point in his career, he does want to play for Real Madrid, and he did classify Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world. But yeah, was subject to a lot of transfer speculation, throughout the course of the summer was Paul Pogba. But I think, given my overarching view on him, I think he's had a pretty decent start to this season. Obviously, Paul Pogba started all 4 games in the league so far this season. Hasn't managed to score a goal yet, but I do believe I think his performance, was pretty poor against Southampton. I think prior to his penalty miss against Wolves, I think, he's had a pretty decent start to this season. Don't forget, Paul Pogba early on in the season was subjected to online racial abuse, following his penalty miss against Wolves. And I think I'll credit Paul Pogba in that aspect. I thought he handled the situation quite well. But, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, for the entirety of the summer was working on, getting Paul Pogba's transfer to Real Madrid completed in that. And he actually did say at the start of pre-season, did his agent, that Paul Pogba, was in the process of leaving the football club. This is what his agent and that had said. But Paul Pogba confirmed earlier on in the summer, he wanted to leave Manchester United. He publicly admitted this. I think he admitted this in June, and he did say he was seeking for a new challenge and wanted to leave the football club, to rejuvenate his career. But Paul Pogba, still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him. He's only 26 years of age. So he can still say he's in his prime, and we have seen him at his best as a Manchester United player. Paul Pogba, I think he's been mainly inconsistent since he rejoined the club back in 2016 from Juventus. But I think he's still a long-term solution for Manchester United. But we have seen glimpses of how good he can be. I think you mainly see the best of Paul Pogba, when he's freed up. And when he's at his best, he's good at playing them. He's good at feeding the attackers. He's like 2 players in one. But yeah, still a very, very essential player indeed, is Paul Pogba. Obviously, we do know there was talks throughout the course of the summer as well of Paul Pogba possibly making a return back to Turin, because he did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, but hasn't really replicated this, at Manchester United. Now, Paul Pogba's in his 4th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, I thought his stats were very, very impressive last season. He scored 16 goals and provided 11 assists in 47 games in all competitions. And obviously, with the football club, he's won the Europa Europa League and the League Cup. That came in Paul Pogba's second season with Manchester United. But I did say the couple of main factor reasons why he still wants to leave the football club, because maybe he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness, maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, does Paul Pogba, and these are the couple of reasons why he does want to leave the football club, I should presume. And I did say, if we're not competing for the top four by the January transfer window, and this bad run of form does continue to persist, I think obviously Paul Pogba will still want out of the football club anywhere, just like David De Gea will. Just like David De Gea will, but like I said, it hasn't only been this summer, that Paul Pogba's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Reflecting back last summer, Paul Pogba was subject to a lot of transfer speculation, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, because obviously, Paul Pogba had a poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, and I think Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, when Jose Mourinho got sacked from the football club. But we have seen glimpses of how good Paul Pogba can be. I'm very, very hopeful, that Paul Pogba, can be fit can regain full fitness, for the game against Leicester after the international break. Don't forget, reports came out earlier on this week saying that Paul Pogba had withdrawn from the France squad after he sustained an ankle injury in the 1-1 draw with Southampton last weekend. And it did reportedly say earlier on this week that Paul Pogba was set to undergo a scan, to investigate the extent of the damage. But now recent reports said, that Paul Pogba should be fit, for the game against Leicester, because I did say, we haven't really got a backup to Paul Pogba. And we have convinced him to remain with the football club at least till January. So I did say, we've got to avoid him, getting any kind of injury. But Solskjaer's spoken a lot, about Paul Pogba, earlier on in the summer. He also spoken to Paul Pogba quite a lot, and Solskjaer did tell Paul Pogba he does not need to leave Manchester United, to fulfil his ambitions. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows deep down how much an imperative player he is. Paul Pogba's brother Mayfish, he's had his say on the speculation about Paul Pogba and that, and he basically said that Paul Pogba will focus on the season with Manchester United. But I definitely think Paul Pogba will either leave in January. If he doesn't leave in January, I think he probably will leave next summer. But reportedly we are willing to, we're hopeful that we can extend Paul Pogba's contract. Whether Paul Pogba will accept this or not, I do not know. I probably believe we'll have to obviously give him a massive we have to give him a massive increase on his wages and all that. Obviously he's on 290 grand a week at the moment, is he, or something like that? So he'll probably demand at least 400 odd grand a week, if he's to sign a new long-term contract with Manchester United, Paul Pogba. And I think he'll probably demand to be quite honest, to be the highest paid player at the football club. And I think there was talks earlier on, I think it was in pre-season as well, of us, giving Paul Pogba the captaincy as well, in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club. But yeah, his first choice preference was Real Madrid, and his likely destination, of course, was Real Madrid. I do believe Christian Eriksen was also on Real Madrid's agenda. Obviously, Real Madrid's preference was Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen, even though Christian Eriksen probably would have been a cheaper solution for Real Madrid. But we do know Paul Pogba can't leave Man United at this present time, because obviously, the European transfer window shut. It shut on the 2nd of September, which was 4 days ago. So I think he could end up, leaving the football club in the January transfer window. But actually, Solskjaer recently admitted, he was willing to sell Paul Pogba, earlier on this summer and that. But we were actually very, very adamant anyway. He wasn't for sale. But it did say if we was willing to sell him, we did want in the region around £180 million. And based on the price tag, I think it put Real Madrid off, and it also, put Juventus off. So we do know now anyway, he's remaining with the football club. So that's the breaking news at Paul Pogba. Man United have made contact, with his agent. Ed Woodward's made contact with his agent over the possibility of getting Paul Pogba a new contract at the football club. So that's the latest news on that. We have got quite a few other injuries, don't forget. Obviously, now I give you the news about Wan-Bissaka earlier on this week. Obviously, he had to withdraw from the England squad after he sustained a back injury. I think reports confirmed, was it a day or two ago, that, Wan-Bissaka has returned back to Old Trafford for treatment, and he will be monitored in the coming days, to see whether, he will be fit enough, to play against Leicester now, not Wan-Bissaka, because we do know that Wan-Bissaka is a very, very imperative player. Obviously, we got him earlier on in the summer. We paid, was it £45 million for him up front with £5 million in add-ons, which did potentially rise up to around £50 million. And obviously, Wan-Bissaka is our first choice right back. But I think he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. I think he's flourishing, and I think he's replicating now at Manchester United. What he did last season with Crystal Palace. Don't forget, Wan-Bissaka only made his senior debut back in February 2018. But I think he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. I think he intercepts the ball really, really well. I think his defensive abilities are very, very good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. So I think he's addressed our right hand side fantastically well. I'm disappointed that we didn't get a right winner in throughout the course of the summer. But I'm very, very happy that we got that right back in, and I've got a lot of trustworthy in Wan-Bissaka, and I think he can emulate into like a Gary Neville, and I do believe he can be our fullback for the next decade. He's only 21 years of age, but I did sound very, very hopeful that his injury is not too severe as Wan-Bissaka's, and hopefully he can play in the game against Leicester, because I know we've got quite a few other fullbacks as well, but Wan-Bissaka's our first choice right back. But we've obviously got Ashley Young there as a backup. We've also got Diego Dalot there. Don't forget Diego Dalot's been injured, but I think it did say he should regain full fitness by the Leicester game. Obviously Diego Dalot, I think it's good in the aspects that he's versatile, because he can play in various other positions. He can play as a right back, left back, and a right winger. I think Ashley Young can play in other positions as well, so he's versatile. But Ashley Young and Diego Dalot, they're predominantly both right backs. But obviously, I'm hopeful that Wan-Bissaka, can be fit, for the Leicester game. Luke Shaw, we still know that, we know that he's out with injury. Obviously, he's out until early October with a hamstring injury. Obviously, he had sustained this injury again in our 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. But Luke Shaw, is a very, very imperative player. I think reflecting on his impressive performances last season, he won the double player of the season, did Luke Shaw. And again, a very, very reliable player, very reliable on that left-hand side. He's good at making them overlapping runs and that. And I think for the majority of his, 4 or 5, I think this is now his 5th season at Manchester United. I think he's had a good career, with Man United as Luke Shaw. I think he had a pretty average start to this season, before he sustained that injury, but still very, very imperative player. As you all know, Eric Bailly, of course, is out until, I think, Christmas time, or is it the New Year, with a knee injury. And I did say, with my overarching view on Eric Bailly, I think, his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, with the amount of injuries he has sustained. And I don't only think that's affected his career. I think also with his fallout under managers, he has been here since the Jose Mourinho era. Obviously, this is Eric Bailly's now 4th season as a Manchester United player. I think he's made about 50-odd appearances for the club in the Premier League. I think he's only scored that one goal that came against Swansea a couple of years ago. And he is a very, very imperative player, and he has got great potential when he's fully fit. But I think, the club could orchestrate on selling him in January, but maybe perhaps next summer we could orchestrate on selling him, due to that he's injury prone and all that. And but yeah, he's out until Christmas time, is it, something like that. Obviously, he sustained this knee injury, throughout pre-season. We do know that Fosu Mensah is a long-term absence as well, so he's injured. Obviously, Anthony Martial, he's still out with a thigh injury. I think he should be okay for the game against Leicester. He should regain full fitness. Anthony Martial, I think he's had a fantastic start to this season. Before he obviously got this thigh injury, he's scored a couple of goals. I think he's provided a couple of assists. And Martial's a very, very imperative player for Manchester United, as it confirmed at the start of the season. Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt, so obviously he's playing more centrally this season. To be quite fair, I think he seems to be more effective in that central position, as that got proven throughout pre-season. He was really, really good in that central position. Obviously, in the last game, against Southampton, where we drew 1-1, I thought we did maybe okay in the first half. I thought we did, but I thought the second half, was really, really poor. There was a lot of bad individual performances in the game against Southampton. I thought Rashford was really, really poor against Southampton, to be quite honest. Yeah, obviously Rashford was full in Anthony Martial's role in the game against Southampton, and Rashford was so poor. He looked so isolated. He didn't latch onto enough of them crosses. He had them opportunities, but just didn't take them really. Did Rashford? But I still say that Rashford is the long-term solution for Manchester United. Just like Anthony Martial is. Well, with Anthony Martial, he's scored 50 goals now for the football club. He scored his 50th goal against Wolves earlier on in the season. And this is now, like I said, his fifth season now at Manchester United. Obviously, you know, I think we paid around, was it £36 million for him from Monaco back in 2015. So he's been here since the Louis van Gaal era. It does actually rise up to 57 or £58 million, you know, based on the goals and achievements. Don't forget the football club give Martial a new contract back in January. So he's under contract with the football club until 2024 because he signed a 5-year deal, and he's on a substantial amount. You know, he's on around what, 200 grand a week, or is it more than £200,000 a week? You know, that Anthony Martial's off. But I think, you know, he's you know, flourishing really well at Man United, and I think, you know, he can emulate to that level. He hasn't quite emulated to that level as yet, but I think he will do. And I've got the same thoughts about Rashford. You know, I think he will emulate to that level. But I did say to you yesterday on one of my videos that, you know, we have got a lot of young players in the team that are developing and trying to improve in that, you know, which is very good to see. But Martial and Rashford, you know, I do believe, you know, they will, you know, get to that level, you know, where they do want to be. So, like I did say, you know, we have got quite a few injuries. So hopefully, you know, we know that Luke Shaw, like I just said, is out until early October. But yeah, I think the good thing to see is that, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. That's also a good thing as well. He's got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. I did say, you know, at the start of the season, I think, you know, the young players, you know, will become a fruition this season. I thought the young players that, you know, played throughout pre-season, you know, also, you know, was a fruition in that. But we have got quite a few young upcoming players in the squad. You know, we've got quite a lot of aging up players in that. I did initially say, I know that we've, you know, now sold quite a lot of players, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously, we saw, you know, Chris Smalling leave the football club. You know, he joined Roma on loan. We've seen Darmian leave the football club early on this week. He's gone to Parma. Obviously, you know, we saw Ander Herrera leave early on this summer. It was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera. Obviously, Ander Herrera served 5 years with Manchester United. Obviously, you know, we saw Marian Fellaini leave back in January. Obviously, we saw Romelu Lukaku join Inter Milan quite a few weeks ago now. And I thought in that aspect it was very good business for Manchester United, you know, to generate a substantial amount for a flop. And it was good to see, you know, recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. Obviously, Alexis Sanchez has obviously, you know, confirmed the other week that he's gone out on loan to Inter Milan. Obviously, Dean Henson's gone back out on loan to Sheffield United. So quite a few players in that have left, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. But I still believe in the January transfer window, or perhaps next summer. I still believe, you know, we need to get rid of a couple of more players, because I still think there's players here now at this present time that are no longer, you know, good enough to represent Manchester United, and that is my opinion. But I think the problem with Man United as well is that, you know, what we seem to do is, you know, we've got a history of spending big on players, you know, and overpaying for players, and obviously, you know, we've got players on big contracts and that now. But what we do is we overpay for players, and then we let them go, basically, you know, for next to nothing, and that's basically, you know, being proven quite recently. You know, we let Darmian go for just over £3 million to Parma. Back in 2015, we paid just over £12 million for him from Torino. So we basically lost out on around, what, £9.1 million on him. And then basically, with Ander Herrera, you know, we paid, what, £30 million for him. What are you doing?
Turn this off, Charlie. It's wasting bloody electric.
We paid £30 million for him back in 2014 for Atletico Bilbao. And then basically on this summer, you know, let him go for next to nothing, basically. So in that aspect, you know, that's bad business from the football club. And Manchester United, of course, are well known for doing that. But like I did say, you know, I was happy, you know, with the 3 players, you know, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recommended in, you know, throughout the course in the summer. You know, we spent over £140 million on them. You know, we got Daniel James in for, what, £18 million. Well, it was £15 million with add-ons included, which did potentially rise it to £18 million. Obviously, we recommended down Wan-Bissaka in, and of course Harry Maguire came in. And I think Harry Maguire, to be fair, has addressed our defensive deficiencies. But I think, you know, them 3 players have had pretty decent starts to their Manchester United career. You know, with Daniel James, you know, I'd still say he's a prospect and needs time to develop. But Daniel James has already scored 3 goals so far for the club this season. Obviously, you know, we've mainly played Daniel James on the right so far. You know, we've also, you know, I think we've played him on the left, but he's actually, you know, supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side. He's Daniel James. But I think he'll do well well at Manchester United. Like I said, he's taken a huge step in his career at just the age of 21 as well. Coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League, and I think he's done really, really well so far. Daniel James, I thought he was good on his debut season last season, with Swansea. Because he only made his senior debut, was it last year with Swansea, if I'm right, but he's only 21 years of age. And with Harry Maguire, I did say, I think he'll succeed at Manchester United. Like I did say, I thought we overpaid for Harry Maguire. Like I said, we paid, £80 million to him. Obviously, he's the most expensive defender in the world. He's also the second most expensive, signing in the Premier League is Harry Maguire, and actually, just behind Paul Pogba. But I think him and Lindelof, complement each other, fantastically well in our back line. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre-backs, so obviously, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. And obviously, Harry Maguire is the best option than what we've got in our back line at this present time. These question marks amongst, Victor Lindelof, can he keep the consistency up? Because to be fair, Victor Lindelof has been a bit below par in the last couple of games. But I still believe he's flourishing at Manchester United. Victor Lindelof now is into his third season as a Manchester United player. I thought in his first season, that consistency didn't really settle in Lindelof, but I thought there was vast improvements in his second season, and I think mainly so far this season he has replicated what he did in his second season, but he has been a bit below par in the last couple of games. But definitely for me, still a long-term solution for Manchester United is Victor Lindelof. So I think they complement each other fantastically well, and I still have a lot of confidence that Maguire and Lindelof can emulate into like a Vidic and Ferdinand, because Vidic and Ferdinand they were a fantastic centre-back partnership back under the Alex Ferguson and Moreira and that. But analysing it, we have still got a lot of central defenders in the team. Despite us, loaning Chris Smalling out, we've still got around 6 centre-backs. You've obviously got Lindelof, Harry Maguire. Obviously, we've got Bay. We've got Rojo. Obviously, Solskjaer confirmed prior to the Southampton game, that Marcus Rojo is definitely staying at the football club. Obviously, Rojo was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation, don't forget, earlier on this summer and that. Obviously, Everton inquired about getting him on deadline day. I think the likes of Marcel and Monaco and AC Milan were interested in Rojo. But obviously, we do know now he's staying at the football club at least until January. Rojo's just got under 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United. I think we put around the £25 million valuation on him. Rojo did play, throughout pre-season, but obviously hasn't played a game in the Premier League so far this season, so he's served his 2 requirements at Manchester United. And like I said, I think his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, with the amount of injuries he has sustained. I'll credit Eric Bay, I'll credit Marcus Rojo. Like I said, he did well throughout pre-season, that, and, I think it's good in the aspect that he's versatile, he's Rojo, because, he can play centrally, he can play on the left, he can also play as a wing back, so his versatility in that back line is really, really good. But Rojo is going to find game time very, very difficult, so I think we need to orchestrate on getting rid of him in the January transfer window. But Everton did inquire about getting him on deadline day and that, but obviously his move to Everton never materialised. I think we did get him from Sporting Lisbon, if I'm right, back in 2015, was it? So I think he's now into his 5th season at Manchester United, he's Rojo. So I think we need to get rid of him in January. Obviously, we've still got Phil Jones here. Phil Jones has been a long-serving player at the football club. Jones has been here now 8 years at Manchester United. This is now, he's actually now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Also, the club, give him a new long-term contract last season, which was bad business for Manchester United. Phil Jones has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. And over the years, we have seen glimpses, of how good Phil Jones can be. So I will credit him in that aspect, but he's no longer, good enough to represent Manchester United. He has won everything domestically, I think, as Phil Jones. I think he has been here since 2011, is it? Or is it 2012 he's been here since? I think he's won one Premier League or 2 Premier League titles he's won with us. Obviously he's won the Europa League, the FA Cup and the League Cup and that with us as Phil Jones. But he's also aging up as well. So I think, we definitely need to considering offloading him maybe in January or perhaps next summer. Obviously, we've got Alex Tuanzebe. He's one of our centre-backs, but I think we're orchestrating on keeping him for the time being, Alex Tuanzebe. And I think it did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season, is Alex Tuanzebe, because I thought he was good on his loan spell with Aston Villa last season, and I think he can replicate this with Manchester United this season, so he should be a big part of the squad this season. So we have got a lot of centre-backs in the team. But like I did say to you on video, yesterday, I haven't really seen much improvements in Manchester United, so far this season. And I think this season so far is replicating what I saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished sixth, obviously, failed to qualify for the Champions League. And like I did say, I think in that aspect, it went against us in the summer transfer window of getting all the number one targets, like we did want to recommend in, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't get all the players there that I wanted in that. And I did say, with us failing to qualify for the Champions League, I said it was going to be hard for us, to attract players to the elite level. But I do believe, the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer. I think we'll probably reignite our interest in them in January, probably perhaps next summer. But yeah, obviously, one of our main priority targets throughout the course of the summer, was Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. And we had our chance with Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, I think now, is he gone to Real Madrid, or was supposed to be, going to Real Madrid with Bruno Fernandes? Well, it did say he was initially supposed to go to Real Madrid for around £64 million. And I would have been excited about the prospect of Bruno Fernandes, playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield, because I think, they would have complemented each other, fantastically well. Obviously, went in for Mandzukic, don't forget, towards the back end of the window, but I think the board had concerns about bringing him in, reflecting on his age, because he's 33 years of age, but Mandzukic has had a good pedigree. I thought we were seeing Mandzukic as a replacement for Lukaku. Don't forget, went in for Dybala. Obviously we're seeing him as a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Don't forget, in the last couple of weeks of the window, I think it was, or the last week of the window, there was talks about Dybala and Lukaku as a swap deal, and at one point they had agreed a deal in principle as for the swap, but obviously, it never couldn't materialise, because obviously we initially withdrew our interest in Dybala throughout the course of summer transfer window, due to his wage demands in that. And I think he had obviously concerns about coming to the football club anywhere. But we could still go back in for him. We could maybe go back in for Jadon Sancho. I think we'll probably wait until next summer, to go back in for Jadon Sancho. So we was in for a hell of a lot of players, throughout the course of the summer and that. But like I did say, it's replicating last season so far this season. Obviously this season, we've only managed 7 goals in our first 4 league games. We've already conceded 4 goals. And last season, we only managed 53 goals in the Premier League, and we conceded 54 goals last season in 38 Premier League games, and that was our highest total, of course, in 48 years. So yeah, it's just basically replicating last season so far this season. I thought we had a good pre-season though. Won 6 games out of 6. 12 goals scored and only 3 goals conceded. And I did say at that time, I think Man United are going to have a better season. Then we got off to a remarkable start against Chelsea, winning comfortably by 4 goals to 0. And then since then, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong. We dropped 2 points away to Wolves. We did well in the first half, but didn't play well in the second half. And then obviously we lost all 3 points against Crystal Palace. Losing 10 for the first time in Premier League history. And in that Crystal Palace game, we had a lot of shots. We had around 26, was it? I think it was 20 odd shots we had in the game, So we had created a lot of chances. We had the majority of the possession, but we only managed 1 goal and that. So we lost that game. And then obviously we dropped 2 points against Southampton last weekend and that. So we've only registered 5 points from a possible 12 so far. So like I did say, it's not that we're playing bad, we're just not, we haven't got that clinical element, maybe we are creating chances in that, but we're just not scoring enough goals, and that does seem to be a problem with Manchester United. And like, Gary Neville had his overarching view on it recently, as I actually updated you on one of my videos yesterday, and he basically believes that Manchester United are on the right track under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he believes, we seem to be playing the right way, the style of it's right, but he just says, we haven't got all that clinical element. Neville said we did okay in the game against Southampton, but we're just not being clinical enough or ruthless enough in front of goal, and that obviously is a problem so far this season. It was also a problem last season, and I think there is a lot of frustration amongst the vast majority of Manchester United fans, including me. There is a lot of frustration, and we have been frustrated anywhere in the last 6 or 7 years or so. We have been frustrated in that. We have been frustrated in that, but like I did say, I'm hopeful that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can get us back to being a competitive elite level football club, and I will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way. I do love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that, and I love him a lot, and I hope his Manchester United tenure does work out. I have got an element of concerns about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if it is going to work out under him. I have now, to be quite fair, got huge doubts about him. Like I did say, we're not really known for the sacking club. club. And I said, I'm hopeful that he does not get sacked because, we haven't got the structure, to keep sacking managers. Already 3 managers have been sacked, since Alex Ferguson's retirement. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. But you can still quite say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is definitely, still in the process of rebuilding. Obviously, the majority of this squad is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. There's only 3 players that are his, that I brought in, early on in the summer. But you can still say that obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's inheriting, 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. Well, 10 of them are still here now. Obviously, he's inheriting players Van Gaal brought in here, even though the vast majority of players that Van Gaal brought in have left now. Obviously, he's still inheriting Juan Mata from the David Moyes era, and there's still players here from the Alex Ferguson era, of course, he's inheriting, don't forget. So he's still in the process of rebuilding. And I think, if this bad run of form, does continue to persist, I think the pressure will increase more on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I did say on one of my video I did yesterday that, if we're not competing for the top 4 by the January transfer window, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, basically, I think he will be sacked, or if not sacked, he's if not sacked, I think, the pressure will keep mounting up on him if he's not sacked by the new year and that. But there again, he's obviously, still in the process of rebuilding. And I did say our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top 4. Maybe perhaps win some silver. And I did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to exceed these expectations. And I did say this at the start of the season. But, we have got big ambitions for the future. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to get Manchester United back, to winning silver, and all that. And this is something he wants to bring back to the football club. He wants to bring that winning mentality back to the club. He wants to bring that fear factor back to the club, and that fear factor hasn't been there, since the Alex Ferguson era. I think you've got the vast majority of pundits, doubting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will bring that fear factor, back to the football club. But I did initially say our aspirations will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons, because I think it's going to take at least a couple of years, maybe even 3 years or something like that, to mount any kind of title challenge up or win the league. Because analysing our squad as it is at the moment, I think it's definitely, good enough for a top 4 finish, but it isn't, good enough to win the league. So that's something, we've got to take into account. And I think, Solskjaer confirmed earlier on in the summer, that he believes he's, following Alex Ferguson's philosophy in that, and he said he believes he was following a policy that proved successful under Alex Ferguson, because obviously, he was good at developing players, and that was Ferguson. And obviously, Solskjaer worked out his transfer strategy earlier on this summer, don't forget, and he did say, he wanted to sign young homegrown players. But yeah, I think, the board, confirmed at the start of the season. I think they'd come to terms that, they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. And I think, regardless of what happens this season, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safer for at least this season. But I think the board have assured that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be back in January. Maybe will be back next summer, because the board did assure that he would have been back this summer, but I don't think he was back enough, if I'm going to be quite honest. And I think the vast majority of Manchester United fans have been criticising Ed Woodward. They've also been criticising the Glazers, and they've been demanding both them out of the football club. But I don't like the way the football club anywhere is being run in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows the traditions of the club and that. Like I said, I've got another element of concern about him. He hasn't really got the experience as a manager, not to the highest level, so that's an element of concern. But he has got some experience of a manager. He did win a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. He only had a short tenure with Cardiff. It didn't really work out for him at Cardiff and that. But I thought Solskjaer did well, in his first 3 months last season, when he was the interim manager of Manchester United. The results were good, the performances were good, and he did exceed expectations. But since he got the job in March, earlier on this year, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, basically. There's a lot of Man United fans, criticising his tactics and that. I thought his tactics got it right against Southampton. And Solskjaer will sort of try different formulas. He'll, rotate the squad and that. I do believe he'll rotate the squad against Leicester. And I said on a regular basis this season, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will go with that 4-2-3-1 formation. He could go with other formations, but I think, he'll mainly go with that 4-2-3-1 formation. But for me, what I think he needs to do is against Leicester, I think he needs to rotate it, definitely. With Mason Greenwood, I think he definitely needs to start a game from the start, because he hasn't started a game from the start yet so far this season. He's made 4 substitute appearances. Solskjaer confirmed at the start of the season that Mason Greenwood has been assured more opportunities this season. Mason Greenwood's only 17 years of age. Obviously, Mason Greenwood last season did really, really well for the reserves. He scored 30 goals in 29 games, and I think he can replicate this in the first team with Manchester United. But yeah, Mason Greenwood, should get given the start against Leicester. Chong, I think there was recent talks about Chon, going out on loan and that. I think he's rejected this loan offer. I think Chon, should get given his opportunities this season. I think, PSV and Fernand had inquired about getting, Chon on loan. I thought Chon did well as well, throughout pre-season, so I will credit him on that aspect. I think Diego Dalot, he should get given his chances this season. Jimmy Garner, I don't think he's yet played this season. Jimmy Garner, maybe, he should get given the opportunity. To be fair, I prefer Jimmy Garner and Angel Gomez over the likes of Matic and that, Angel Gomez, I'm surprised he didn't start against Southampton or participate in the game, so I think he should get given the chance against Leicester. So we have got quite a few young upcoming players and that in the squad, don't forget. We have got quite a few young upcoming players in the squad. But analysing our midfield, I have got a lot of element of concerns by, because that's one of the priority areas, of course, where Manchester United, needed to strengthen up, in the summer. But that looking at our midfield, disregarding Paul Pogba, we've got the likes of McTominay, Pereira, Fred, and Nemanja Matic and that. And Nemanja Matic is a very inconsistent player, and I think he's another player Man United need to consider offloading in January or next summer. Obviously, we paid £40 million for him a couple of years ago. Is this now Matic's third season as a Manchester United player, and we have seen glimpses, of how good he can be. People talk about that he's highly experienced. He's won a couple of titles and that. When he was at Chelsea and that. But I think he's too inconsistent because he's too slow. He makes that midfielder look totally imbalanced. So I think we need to obviously get rid of him. And at the time we got Matic anyway, he wasn't our first choice. He was our third choice signed at the time back under the Jose Mourinho era. So really, he shouldn't have even come to the football club anywhere. But he has actually been a huge disappointment. Matic was first choice last season. The first choice midfield trio last season was actually Matic, Herrera and Pogba. And to be fair, they blended in fantastically well together. But Matic now is too inconsistent. With the likes of McTominay, I'll credit him. He's had a fantastic start to this season. So far he's been playing mainly alongside Paul Pogba in that midfield. And McTominay is developing really, really well. I still don't know if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United, McTominay. So in that aspect, I have got concerns. But when he plays well, he can play between the lines well. His defensive abilities and that are really, really good. So it's fair to McTominay. I think he's played well this season so far. Did well throughout pre-season. Fred, I don't think he's yet played this season, has he? If I can remember rightly. Solskjaer did say he expects better things from Fred this season, because Fred's been a huge disappointment, to be quite honest. He has been a huge disappointment, since his arrival from Shakhtar Donetsk last summer. Obviously, he's on that list of one of our most expensive signings. We paid just under £50 million for Fred, and he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk, so in that aspect I will credit him, but hasn't mainly, produced the same element of performances at Manchester United and that. So Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. I thought he did well towards the back end of last season. The games he did play throughout pre-season, Fred, was it was quite impressive in my opinion. And we've obviously, got Andres Pereira, as well. I've got the same thoughts about Pereira as I've got, with McTominay and Fred. I still don't know if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. So I have got a lot of concerns about that midfield and that. And I'm disappointed, that we, didn't address that midfield, throughout the course of the summer. I think another player, that should retire from football or, leave Manchester United at the end of this season is Ashley Young. We do know that Ashley Young has been at Manchester United now 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, is Ashley Young. Obviously, he's inconsistent. He's no longer our first choice right back, obviously, following the arrival of Aaron Wan-Bissaka earlier on in the summer. Obviously, Ashley Young got given the start against Southampton. Obviously, he was playing at left back. Obviously, he was captaining the team. I think it was following the injury, with Luke Shaw, and that's the only reason he started from the start, Ashley Young. Ashley Young, of course, he's been a long servant. He's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Don't forget, the club had given him a new 1-year extension last season, so I think that was bad business from Man United. Young's been here a lot of years now. Obviously, I think he's now 34 years of age, so obviously he's coming to an end of his footballing career anyway, so I think he should leave maybe at the end of the season, and that should Ashley Young. But like I did say, a hell of a lot of money has been spent. A hell of a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United. Obviously, £148 million spent under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this summer. Obviously, just under £400 million was spent under Jose Mourinho. Obviously, like I said, he recommended 11 players in, and like I said, the reasons it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho is because obviously he had bad disputes with the board. He had bad disputes with the top players. Obviously reflecting back last summer, the board weren't backing the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend into the football club, and actually he's priority last summer was to recommend a centre-half in that. And obviously, it just didn't work out under him, despite us winning the Europa League and League Cup in our first season with Jose Mourinho's first season. So it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho as we all thought it would have done. There was no sort of winning philosophy under Mourinho. It was part of the bus football under Jose Mourinho. So these are the reasons it didn't work out under him. So we enjoyed a difficult 2.5 years with Mourinho. First season pretty good, but then after that, it just basically, went from bad to worse, basically. Under Van Gaal, he didn't have the right sort of philosophy. Didn't really work out under him, even though he brought a lot of players in, Van Gaal. Even though, despite us winning the FA Cup back in 2016 under the Van Gaal era, it just didn't work out under him. And I had the same sort of level of hatred, for Van Gaal and what I did David Moyes, to be quite honest with you. David Moyes, just under £67 million was spent under him, didn't work out under him. It was only a short tenure under David Moyes, he only lasted around, 8 or 9 months. But at the time, obviously, Ferguson had recommended, David Moyes in, because obviously, they were both Scottish and, where they both got along really, really well. And that was a mistake from the football club, getting rid of David Moyes, getting rid of appointing David Moyes in, sorry. And I think, maybe we have done some mistakes over the years as well of getting rid of certain players, that I think could have done really, really well at Manchester United. Some people say us getting rid of Di Maria, was a mistake, because Di Maria had a fantastic start under the Louis Van Gaal era. We paid just under £68 million for him. Obviously, Daley Blind, don't forget, Van Gaal brought him in, but obviously, he left the football club, did Daley Blind. And all that. So I said the vast majority of the players from the Louis Van Gaal era have now left. But I think, just under £1 billion has been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years. If you want to take into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson, way over £1 billion has been spent at the football club and that. But I did say, regardless of our managers, no one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to achieve what we achieved under Alex Ferguson. That's obviously something we've got to accept. But we have still got that recent history of that success under Alex Ferguson. We had 26, 27 years of success in that. Obviously, won 13 Premier League titles, 20 all in all. So we are the most successful team in England, historically. But some people are going to take that into account regarding Alex Ferguson and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, basically, because, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously, maybe some people are saying, he needs more time and that, to, rebuild more and stuff like that. And maybe he does need more time because, like I said, taking into account with Alex Ferguson, he didn't win out when he got appointed in as Man United manager back in 1986, was it, from Aberdeen? Don't forget, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. And at that time, we do know that he was on the verge of getting the sack. But obviously, it didn't happen. And then look what he went and achieved, Alex Ferguson. But like I did say, the boards are a lot more ruthless now than when there was back in that day and that. But maybe, I think also, Gary Neville was mentioning that, he believes that maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can emulate into like a Jurgen Klopp from Liverpool, because obviously, Jurgen Klopp's been at Liverpool now, quite a few years. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp didn't win out in his first couple of seasons, was it, with Liverpool? Obviously, he did win, his first major honour with Liverpool last season by winning the Champions League. Obviously, it's Liverpool's 6th Champions League. And Jurgen Klopp's doing a really, really good job now with Liverpool. Liverpool invested well in the last couple of windows. They didn't make any signings this summer, but they invested well in the last couple of windows and that. So maybe Gary Neville believes Solskjaer can turn into a Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, Liverpool's expectations this season probably will be to win the Premier League, because obviously Liverpool have never won the Premier League, since he got founded in 92, 93, was it? And they haven't won it all in all for 3 decades of Liverpool. But I think they've got a chance of winning it this season. It's got obviously going to be between them and Manchester City. But it will be interesting, to see. I know we're not going to win it. We're obviously going for the top 4 and that. We're obviously going for the top 4 and all that. Obviously, I've obviously already given you the latest news about David De Gea, earlier on this week. I did say, we could be set to lose David De Gea in the January transfer window. Obviously, because we have not yet, got him a new contract at the football club. And obviously, throughout pre-season, it was looking very, very imminent, that David De Gea, was going to be signing a new contract with Manchester United. He did initially say when he returned from pre-season, his contract was going to be announced. But actually, there's been a change of scenery now, because obviously, his contract
has not been announced, so it hasn't obviously materialised. It did initially say that David De Gea was set to sign a 6-year contract with the football club throughout pre-season, with up to around 375 grand a week. But obviously we do know that this hasn't materialised. But Man United have been in negotiations of getting David De Gea a new contracts for the last 18 or 19 months now. Obviously we haven't succeeded in negotiations, even though it came out earlier on in the summer. I think it was prior to pre-season that we'd had breakthrough in negotiations with David De Gea's agent George Mendes and that, but we haven't yet got him a new contract. He did initially say for large periods of the months we've been in talks of getting David De Gea a new contract that David De Gea of course was demanding around 350 grand a week to commit his long-term future of the club and sign a new long-term contract, and he was demanding 350 grand a week, and for large periods Man United were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. Obviously that £350,000 figure would make him the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, also make him the highest paid in the club's history, basically, David De Gea. And then obviously we come to terms and we decided then to meet his 350 grand a week wage demands. Then it was looking very imminent he was going to be signing a new contract, but obviously this just hasn't materialised. Don't forget David De Gea's contract expires at the end of the season, so he's got under a year left in his contract. So if we can't come to an agreement of getting him a new contract, obviously we want to cash in for him in January rather than letting go on a free transfer at the end of the season. But we still believe we can cash in around £30 million for David De Gea in January. PSG are reportedly prepared to pay this. PSG were regarded as the favourites to sign David De Gea earlier on in the summer. Don't forget Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. I think also Juventus had inquired about getting him. But David De Gea has been at Man United now 8 years. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United, and I think he's had 7.5 good years with the football club. He was a bit below par in the last couple of months of last season. Hasn't started this season too well, David De Gea, and he was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season. He did it against Crystal Palace this season, but I did say it was mainly to do with a contactual situation. But David De Gea's still got a lot of years ahead of him. He's only 28, 29 years of age. But I did say if David De Gea is going to lead the football club, we are going to need a replacement for him. And I think we've, got a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could replace him. There was talks about Jan Blanc from Atletico Madrid coming in. Well, it said we've instructed scouts to keep a close eye out on him. There was talks about Dominic Livakic from Dinamo Zagreb and that. So there's been a few goalkeepers on our agenda who could actually replace him. And I said anyway, we need a replacement for him because we've got Romero, who's obviously only our second choice keeper, not reliable enough to become our number one goalkeeper. Dean Henson, like I said, has gone back on loan to Sheffield United. Joe Pereira's gone on loan to Hearts. He went on loan to Hearts a couple of weeks ago. Lee Grant, of course, is still out with injury. So yeah, we definitely need a replacement for him. David De Gea's won everything here domestically. He's been here since the Ferguson era. We got him from Atletico Madrid back in 2011 for around £17 million. So if we did get 30 million for him in January, we'd still get around a £13 million profit for him. I did say at full value David De Gea's worth around £100 million, but I did say we won't get anywhere near that figure because he's got under a year left on his contract. But PSG may go in for him in the January transfer window. But David De Gea has won the club's player of the year 4 times out of the 6 seasons, reflecting on his impressive performances. And he's still potentially the best goalkeeper in the world. So that news came out about that earlier on this week. He's turned down a £350,000 a week offer from the club. He has not yet signed a new long-term contract, so he could, we could be subjected to losing him in the January transfer window and all that. So that's the latest news on that. And that's mainly everything to update you with today, guys, on this video. And I did say, Leicester's going to be a hard game after the international break because, Leicester have enjoyed a pretty decent start to the season. They've registered 8 points from a possible 12 in their last 4 league games. I think they've won their last 3 in all competitions of Leicester. We've usually got a good winning record against them. In the last 11 meetings, we've won 7. There's been 3 draws and Leicester have won 1. So I think, it should be a, comfortable win for Manchester United. But games are coming up now thick and fast. Leicester coming up after the international break. Then, our next 3 league games are Leicester, West Ham away and Arsenal at home, and obviously we've got coming up as well Rochdale in the Carabao Cup and FC Astana in the Europa League. And I think we should be going for that Europa League this season. I think we should win it, to be quite honest. I think we are good enough to win it. We won it a couple of years ago under the Jose Mourinho era. Of course Chelsea won the Europa League last season and that, so these quite a few teams in it, but it's very, very imperative that Man United get back into the Champions League, because I say with the dimensions of this football club, with the history of this football club anyway, we should be in the Champions Champions League. You know, we should be up there competing and winning Super. And, you know, we haven't done that in the last 6 years or so. So it has been extremely, disappointing. Yeah. So the main part of this video, you know, was to give you the latest news about Paul Pogba. You know, reportedly we've made contact with his agent, Mini Raiola. Ed Woodward's made the contact about the possibility of renewing Paul Pogba's contract. Whether he accepts this or not, I do not know. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching.